Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ricky on Margin. My name is Susan, and I am documenting my journey of being fully invested in growth ETFs while using margin. If you're a beginner investor, if you're curious about margin, or if you're just trying to understand how all of this actually works in real life, you are in the right place. I don't know everything. I'm learning as I go, and I am documenting the entire process while I do so. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how much Robinhood margin interest actually costs me. I do want to say that I am not a financial advisor and I'm not a financial expert in any way, shape, or form. I am literally just documenting my journey, my personal experiences, and this is for entertainment purposes only. So, yeah, how much is margin actually costing me? I was able to find out the margin interest I paid on my last billing cycle with Robinhood, and that amount was $4.96. Now, when I first saw the $4.96, that amount was actually a lot lower than I expected. So I started asking more questions because I really wanted to know where the $4.96 came from and how is Robinhood actually calculating it. I also wanted to know how much more in interest I would be charged if I started using significantly more margin. So that is what we're going to be looking at today. So Robinhood is calculating my margin interest every day, but I'm not necessarily seeing a separate interest charge hitting my Robinhood account every single day. Those daily amounts are being added together, and then at the end of my billing cycle, the total gets charged to my Robinhood account. That's what the $4.96 represents. So during that billing cycle, my Robinhood margin balance was generally somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000. It kept moving up and down depending on when I borrowed from margin and when I paid some of it back down. Now, remember, I am a Robinhood Gold member, and because I have a gold membership, the first $1,000 of margin I use is interest free. So if my margin balance is $1,000 or less, I'm not paying any margin interest. Once I go above $1,000, that's when interest starts being charged, but only on the amount above that first $1,000. So let's use a $3,000 margin balance as an example. $3,000 minus $1,000 interest free equals $2,000 subject to interest. So even though I would be using around $3,000 of margin, I wouldn't be paying interest on that entire amount. I do want to point out that this is very different from a regular loan. So let's use a car loan as an example. If I finance a car for $30,000, I usually enter into an agreement that says I'm going to pay back that loan over a specific amount of time, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 6 years. Regardless, I have a monthly payment, and every month, part of that payment goes towards interest, and also part of that payment goes towards paying back the actual money I borrowed. So basically, there's an actual repayment plan built into that loan. Margin does not work the same way. With margin, I generally don't have a 3-year or 5-year payoff day, and I don't have a normal monthly payment where Robinhood automatically makes me pay back a portion of the principal every month. Instead, as long as I'm carrying an interest-bearing margin balance, I'm being charged interest for borrowing that money only. So when I'm showing you guys that I paid $4.96, that was the interest cost for borrowing margin during that billing cycle. It was not me paying back the money I originally borrowed. My actual margin balance is separate. Technically, I could continue carrying a margin balance beyond 1 month. There's not a normal car loan style agreement saying that my entire balance must be paid off in exactly 5 years. I can pay off my margin balance anytime I want. I can even die with margin balance in my account if I want. So the way that Robinhood calculates interest is that it multiplies the margin balance subject to interest by 5%, and then it divides that by 360. That will then give you an approximation of the daily interest. Now, because my margin balance changes throughout the month, the amount of interest being calculated can also change from day to day. I do want to point out that the 5% interest rate is subject to change and it is not fixed. Also, depending on your brokerage, that interest rate can be much higher. So I got a bit curious and I began to wonder what this would have cost me without the $1,000 interest free from being a Robinhood Gold member. So yeah, just to make things a bit easier for me, I just went to Robinhood support and I just typed in the support chat what I would have paid if I didn't have a $1,000 interest free from being a Robinhood Gold member. And they told me I would have paid approximately $6.98, which is about a $2 difference. Now, $2 obviously isn't some huge amount of money, but I still think it's really interesting because now I can actually see the impact that first $1,000 of interest-free margin had on my account. Another way to look at it is if we divide $4.96 by 30 days, that's roughly 17 cents per day on average. Again, my margin balance was changing, so some days could have cost more and some days could have cost less. Let's take a look at what my daily margin interest would be at different margin usage amounts, assuming I don't have $1,000 interest free on margin. So if I were to use $500 in margin, it would be about 7 cents a day. If I were to use about $1,000 in margin, it would be about 14 cents a day. $2,000 in margin would be 28 cents per day. $5,000 in margin would be about 69 cents per day. $10,000 in margin would be about $1.39 a day. And these are approximations. So right now, $4.96 doesn't feel like a lot of money to me, especially considering that I was using margin throughout the whole billing cycle. This is great, but I still want to make sure that I'm aware that margin isn't free and I still have to pay some amount of interest on it. So going forward, I'm interested to see how it will change as I keep growing my taxable brokerage account and maybe accessing larger amounts of margin. I also want to see what I'll be charged when I use margin aggressively to buy into the market when there's a big dip. So yeah, I hope this video made sense to you guys and I hope you guys gained a lot from it. I am wishing you guys the best on your financial journey. And if you're a beginner like me, keep trying and keep moving forward. No one is born with 100% of investment knowledge. And I know it can be intimidating at times. Trust me, I know, especially when you're trying to learn everything by yourself, but please do not give up. And that is literally why I made this channel. I really want to target people like me who are beginners in the investing world and want to grow in their investing knowledge. I'm documenting my journey as I go because I want other people like me to be able to watch and feel like they're not figuring all of this out alone. So if you're learning too, please subscribe and follow along. We can figure this out together, one step at a time. I wish you guys the best on achieving financial freedom and financial success, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.